Hi, welcome back to the Arcade Repair Tips video series. Today we're going to talk about working with a cocktail cabinet. Now what is a cocktail cabinet? It's pretty simple. The ones behind me are stand-ups. In other words, you stand up when you play them, and a cocktail cabinet is one that you sit down when you play. As you can see, this one right here is a midway cabinet, which is probably the most common. But we'd like to remind you that there are many types. But if it's the kind that you sit down and play, usually across from a person, you probably have a cocktail cabinet. So we're going to look at today a couple of ways to work with those. And one of the main things we're going to talk about is how to open them up. Now we have to be very careful when we do these because we are working on opening a piece of, usually they have a piece of glass on top. Also the monitor in them is heavy and dangerous, as you know from our other videos about working around with monitors. So we're going to be very careful when we work on such things. Now, the first thing that I'm going to demonstrate is about opening up the game, because you can't do any work on one unless you open it up. Well, the first thing that we did was we put a computer old case on the floor. You might use a block of wood or a box or something pretty heavy, that we're going to lay this over on top so that it doesn't all the way go to the ground. I think that's very important. Then we need to unlatch it. So all I'm going to do is we're going to open up the coin door here, and I'm going to reach inside and find these latches, 1 and 2, and unlatch them. Now the next thing is there's a hinge on the side. So whatever side is opposite of the coin door, that's the way it's going to open. And I highly recommend that you get some help to do this because of the weight. Remember, monitors can be very heavy. So Jonathan's going to help me, and once we have it unlatched, we're just going to fold it over on its side very carefully and set it down. Now that gives us plenty of room up inside of here to work. Now remember, it's kind of like an RV. Space is a premium in a cocktail cabinet. So there's not a lot of room to work. One of the easiest things to do is to go ahead, like let's say for instance the fire button is not working or it won't go left or right, is to remove the panel completely, and then I can work at it on the bench. It's not as hard as you think. There's 3 screws in this one underneath the bottom, and you'll see them if you look up under there. You want to take them 3 screws out. Then there's a couple screws up here. Once you get that out, you can just take out the whole panel. And see how much easier this would be to work on out here or put this on my bench and have to rewire something than it would be to try to do it up inside of there. So again, space is a premium, so just be careful. Make sure everything's discharged and open, and then you may need to take out the panels or something in order to replace a button. So not hard to do at all. Alright, now what you want to do a lot of times for cleaning purposes, or if you want to replace your glass or overlays, we got to take this old glass out. So step number 1 is make sure that it's closed. It doesn't necessarily have to be locked, but it needs to be shut before you try to remove the glass. And as you can see, all around are these clips. And these clips have a screw underneath, and we're going to take out that screw. And once that screw is taken out, then you also may want to have like a really small flathead or something, because you don't want to damage your T-molding or anything. But what we're actually going to do is get right in behind. Here's some of these clips, and we're just going to put just a tiny bit of pressure and remove those clips. Now, as in the case of these, this is also a great time to paint these, as I hardly ever see any that don't need new painting and everything. And that's probably another video shoot, but just a good tip right now is a good time to go ahead and sand those down and paint them. Now, we have all the clips removed and we're ready to take this out, but first I want to talk to you a little bit about the glass. I don't know if we've told much about this before in our videos, but this is tempered glass. Just like the glass on your pinball game or in your car. you probably would notice tempered glass would be if something was to hit it, it would crack in 1,000 places, but kind of wouldn't break very easily, or it would break into 1,000,000 pieces, not be real jagged and sharp. So if you buy local glass to replace your cocktail glass with, make sure it's tempered glass. Okay? So anyway, once you've got this done, we're also going to be careful. Tempered glass is very, very strong. In fact, it's funny, do a search on YouTube for people that jump up and down on these things and show how strong it is. But when you set it down, you have to be very careful, especially if it's square, setting it right on the corners or its weakest point, and can cause it to shatter. So another great time to ask a friend to come in and help. I'm going to be very super careful with this. We're going to set that down real gentle like. You may want to completely take that out of the way somewhere. So now, another great time, you can see this needs some touch-up paint. Now you can put your overlay on. Sometimes they'll have one. Most of the time, overlays aren't stickers. They're just like a cardboard piece that goes under there. And so you can just take them off. This screen right here also has a smoke plexi. Good time to take and clean all of that, clean up under here and touch-up paint while you have the glass out. Well, we hope you learned a few things about working with cocktail cabinets. Although they are quite different, they're not very hard to work on, and actually, when you open them up, you actually can get in there and work. Always make sure you have a chair or something, protect your back, not a lot of bending over, and it does help if you have a partner or someone around that can work with these things with you, because they are quite heavy. And another thing we would like to mention is, keep in mind if you go in an auction and you bid on a cocktail cabinet, you see how much room this is between me and here, and then if you have another person playing, think about the space that they take up in your game room. It says you're going to need about 3 game space, in other words 3 of these, to make one of these, even though they're smaller and you might can get it in your car. Keep in mind that when you do that, once you get them home, they take up a lot of area room, much like a pool table or something would. You need plenty of area to play that. Well, we want to thank you again for watching the Arcade Repair Tips video series, still in high definition.